we've got a doozy for you. So not an uncommon thing to hear on the show is us kind of ragging on Disney and people that are obsessed with Disney. That is a very common thing here. I tend to be very critical of anyone that ties too much of their identity to any corporation. Like, you shouldn't do that with, like, it's funny too, because I think of this as like a Gen Z thing, or I'm sorry, not a Gen Z thing, like a millennial thing. But millennials are also the ones who used to kind of rag on the boomers for being too tied up with their work and their identity being part of their job, right? Because millennials are more likely to just bounce between jobs now, and Gen Z as well. So this is a new study that was done that says 18% of Disney goers have racked up debt just to go visit Disney parks. And the other thing is, most of them don't have any regrets in doing this at all.
Let's just read out the stats for you guys so we're clear.
Yes.
It's 18% of people taking this survey total went into debt for their Disney trip. And 71% of that group that went into debt said they don't regret going into debt for their trip at all.
So are they doing this? Is what they're saying that 18% of people are willing to literally go into actual debt
to feel loan
sharking to feel like kids again? Like, have we like monopolized and turned nostalgia and we've ruined adulthood so much that we've turned childhood into a product we can sell to old people?
Well, guys, addressing that protracted adolescence theme, it said 28% took adults only Disney trips.
Dude, I know these people.
37% of those people who took adults only Disney trips have never been married. Also, they're replacing having genuine connection and relationships and meaningful identity from those relationships and community and like having a foundation with finding an identity in your consumer habits.
Guys, I know these people, and I've been holding this topic this afternoon, not telling you guys, just so I can share it on the show. So this is a huge thing in Puerto Rico because Florida is like a pretty cheap ticket from Puerto Rico, and so many people, like, their only vacation destination as a Puerto Rican is New York and Disney. Literally nothing else.
Wasn't this a big thing that, like, didn't they? Okay, I might be completely imagining this, but wasn't the guy? Well, somebody won the World Series or somebody won some event, and they said, "What are you going to do next?" "I'm going to Disney World," and like Disney paid him to say that or something like that. I could be completely
I feel like that. I remember that somewhere in the back of my head too, but
that was
I'm
a
not
World
sure.
Series.
Like somebody won like an event, and
the Twins.
And then does anybody who?
I think the Minnesota Twins won the World Series, and they asked like the pitchers, like, "I'm going to Disney World."
Somebody in the chat might know this better than me, but it just seems to me like, is this just like we just are like out of creative ideas on what to do with your family on vacation? Like, what was the percentage again of people of them were unmarried or had never been married?
It was 37% of the people who take adult trips to Disney have never been married.
So that means, like, does that mean they don't have kids, though? They can still have kids but not be married, I suppose.
Dude,
I suppose.
But they go to Disney to get hammered. And they go, I'm telling you, like 3 to 4 times a year.
Porco Rosso
just to
forever.
get drunk there on $5,000 cocktails?
Yeah, I'm talking like 30-year-old people, like, with their other friends being like, let's go to Disney.
So this is the big...
What? Is this also a sign that like the content that resonated with people has like degraded so much to the point where only nostalgia exists for Disney? None of the new stuff is relevant to kids today. So there are more adults attached to that intellectual property than there are actual children now, because they've stopped trying to make anything new.
Because they're not marketing to the kids; they're marketing to the adults who just
like,
want
where's
to
the
feel
Encanto
the
stuff at Disney?
Well, why don't? It's why they don't keep. We keep railing against stop race. Well, I don't rail against it, but people rail against race swapping characters because they want to keep using the Little Mermaid. They don't want to create the next Moana because the next Moana won't resonate with an adult. It will resonate with a kid. They're not marketing to kids. They're marketing to 37-year-old women who is like, oh my God, Disney! I want to go there and drink wine. And it's
like when you could just stay home and drink wine.
So the biggest reason that they don't go, that people don't go to Disney World is because it's too expensive. Also, Gen Z is the least likely to have been to a park. Does that kind of shock you?
Not exactly.
Not me either. No.
I was expecting it to be majority millennial.
Yep.
And when we talk about this, we either claim it's the group of millennials who have like way too much disposable income from not having children.
The families can't afford
that
this.
are wasting it at the parks. Here are the average ticket prices. In September, it's the lowest at like $139 per ticket for a day there.
Just the ticket.
And then in December, it's the highest at like $150 per person. Yep. Absolutely insane price gouging has happened. And that makes it only accessible to single people with high-paying jobs and no children.
Yeah.
This is infantilization to the max. It's really debasing to go to a theme park made for children as an adult with only other adults.
But is it?
I mean, that's where the culture's at.
Is it just made for children now?
It's just like, I'm an adult baby, give me my mush.
Literally. Like, oh, it is the Harry
Goo
Potter.
Goo Gaga.
The Harry Potter place.
Do we have a right to complain about a society where, look, everyone's like the climate change and everyone is so broke and nobody can afford a house and nobody can do this, but we're literally like sending adults to expensive adult daycare?
Well, what we learned from the stats on people going into debt for these Disney trips is that it doesn't matter whether you can afford it or not. In order to escape the hell that is modern adult life, you will do whatever it takes. And also, like, the firm that did this survey, Lending Tree, they had a credit analyst comment on this trend. He said, a Disney trip can be an experience that you and your family remember for the rest of your lives. And
So
those are the
into
types
debt.
of things that people are willing to go into debt for. You shouldn't take on a debilitating amount of debt, and you shouldn't do it very often. But if you need to take on a few months of debt to afford that once-in-a-lifetime Disney trip, it can be okay. Of course, a guy who works at a place called Lending Tree is going to tell you that it's okay to take debt for a trip to Disney World.
And here's the thing. My problem isn't necessarily even taking on like a little bit of debt. Like so many families live paycheck to paycheck anyways. Mine is the corporatization of it. When I was growing up, my family was lower middle class, and we took a family vacation, like not just me, my dad, my mom, and my brother, but like my aunt, my uncle, and my cousins. We went to North Carolina, and my family couldn't afford to fly everyone to North Carolina. Half the people flew there, half the people drove there, and then the other half flew home, the other half drove home, like you swapped, right? But it wasn't to some multi-gazillion dollar corporation. We went to like Nags Head, North Carolina and stayed on the beach and did things locally as a family that had nothing to do with soulless Mickey and soulless Bob Iger and soulless Bob Chapek and all of the evil turds at Disney that are off to sell you their weird grooming products and all this stuff. It's tying it to a corporation that I find weird because it feels inherently anti-family. It feels like it's all about just making adults happy about something they were into as kids. It feels fake to me.
Yeah, and also I found this kind of sad. 6% of the people who took on debt to go to Disney said that they don't know how long it will take them to pay it off. Wow. That's like the level of hopelessness and confusion that we are at right now, that escapism is like the only avenue people see left for them.
Late stage capitalism. Like
is it not late stage capitalism? By the way, I had one of the most low IQ takes in my head while I was driving this morning.
Do it.
I was like, capitalism is actually just communism, because why would a bunch of people share stakes in a company? It's like everyone gets to own it. Like the community owns it.
God. Look, I'm
that level of financially illiterate.
I am the most pro-capitalist. Like, there's nobody I hate more than like devout, like preachy communists. I hate that, and I want these corporations to like. The thing is, though, there's a difference between like a mega corporation and telling some person that they can't start their own company and make money by selling a worthwhile product to people that want to buy it. That's not the same thing here.
I would argue that the free market is the solution to literally everything. Stands are also on that level.
But the thing is, this isn't the free market. Disney has all the leverage through they work with government. Think about Pfizer and Marvel working together to make a comic about a vaccine. Okay,
That's ingrained in my mind.
This is not
the
the free market. It's somehow weird cronyism somehow built into your businesses, and it sucks.
I don't know if this is true, but people say that gate prices for Disney have inflated by just like a gross percentage. I think someone claimed like 3,000%.
What?
I don't know if that's actually true, but they also tagged Bob Iger saying like, where are the wage increases for people who work these parks?
Yeah.
Compared to the money you're gorging yourself on, exploiting families who have no other option.
And in all of from what I understand, like I watch a lot of Clownfish TV videos. They talk a lot about Disney parks, and like the quality has gone down, everything's gone down. And the funny thing is, Chapek was the dude who ran the parks before he took over. That's what he did before he took over as CEO. And all I can think of when I think of this stuff is like, how distracted must we be from our miserable lives, like you said earlier. But then I think about what we were saying, like one of those times was like you can finance a pizza now. That's where our society has fallen to. Like you can buy something on Amazon Prime and finance it for 6 months. And I'm just like, what a world that we're living in. But who am I to judge? Who am I to judge these people if this is what they want to do with
Bad take. I can we are here to judge them.
I can judge how society got us here. But who am I to judge these people and their coping mechanisms?
I'm not going to judge when families want to plan a vacation to escape like the hell of their daily lives. That's another thing. But when it's a bunch of millennial single Disney adults going to this theme park for children to get hammered, as Dane said, and it's because the wealth gap is increasing and they all have fake laptop jobs where they probably are like blue checks on Twitter that get to talk down to the rest of us.
Not even.
Of course I'm judging them. They're not even human beings. Like this is not real human being behavior. You could so easily like take a trip that costs even less internationally if you wanted to, but they choose to go to Disney because consumer identity is the only thing that means something to them. And it's the most salient thing about their identity.
Like we look at this with Marvel stands and people who have Marvel logos as their profile pictures, and
now
stuff
that's
like
been
this.
subsumed into the Borg that is Disney.
And a lot of that is also, it's kind of the death of creativity. Like it's like, well, I could go on this fantastic vacation here, but then I'd have to think about it and actually.
And then I'd have to
something.
like not wait in line like a brainless moron. Like.
I wonder, would we be as negative about it if they were bigger about advertising their newer stuff?
Listen, my thing is that I agree with you. Like, I really don't like faulting people on having simple desires. But this is not a simple desire when you are going into depth for it.
Yeah.
Like, before the Dave Ramsey stands hop in the chat and say, like, no one's forcing you to go to Disney. It's your fault if you're going to debt.
I mean, it is.
Like, it's not their fault that the prices have been gouged to exclude normal middle-class families from attending. And also, people looking for small things to enjoy.
Yeah.
A vacation being one of them. Like, that is not a luxury. That is something that normal middle-class people should be able to enjoy. Yep. That's not their fault.
No.
And it's the same thing that millennials are accused of, that they buy the avocado toast and they live the latte life.
Don't get your Starbucks.
Those small expenses are not the reason that we're in a recession right now.
Yeah, people have bought coffee through generations.
Nor is it the reason that houses are being resold at like 3 times their value. Why your family will never, like, why you can't go to college and pay off your college on a part-time job, well, like your parents could.
The real aspect to scrutinize here is that people have become so deracinated and alienated that they find their identity in products they buy and in entertainment that they watch. Yeah. It's all about just like being a funnel. Like your mouth is open, you put the funnel in, and then Disney gives you your mush.
What's interesting is like, okay, I've been skating for 25 years now, and that's a huge part of who I am. Like, obviously that doesn't come up here a lot because this is like one of the few times in my life where who I am as a person is become fairly splintered. Like, skating is still a huge part of my life. I do it 5 days a week, but it's not my job, right? But when I did do it, even when I skated for companies, my identity wasn't tied to the companies that I rode for. The skating and the community around the industry was where where a lot of who I became was designed around, or was built around. So you have in-jokes that come from that community. You build friendships far and wide, through multiple countries, multiple continents, based on an activity that you share a passion for. These people are sharing a passion for something. It's just very tied to one corporation, and that's the weird part.
And man, to add to your point is that should be the purpose of life, almost, in a way. Like when you're so one-dimensional,
yeah.
When something happens in that dimension, what becomes of you? You know what I mean? Like, you should. I often say, I talk about video games a lot, but like even within video games, there's multiple games that I like, and of different genres and of different like complexities and everything.
Different companies. They're not, you don't just love one company's games. But this is the Apple versus Samsung thing. Weirdos who care whether you have an iPhone or an Android. That's weird team sport mentality that has been built into our culture.
The way that I feel about it is just that consumers deserve better, and especially the children who are being subjected to such degraded entertainment deserve better. We talk about The Little Mermaid getting race swapped and how that's really meant to cater to the Disney adults who have children and they're going to bring them to the movie. And they kind of superimpose this feeling that the kids don't have, they haven't voiced, that they feel underrepresented. So I saw this story about the voice actress for Princess Tiana from Princess and the Frog. Her name is Annika Rose. She was led into this question about what being Disney's first Black princess meant to her. And here's what she said. She said, long after she's gone, Princess Tiana will be a part of Americana in a space that I don't think any of us thought we would be able to take up. It says a lot to children. It says a lot to little brown children, definitely.
Which sounds really degrading.
They can be princesses, that they have no doubt about it anymore. It says to their friends that don't look like them that they can be princesses, and there's no question about that. There's no more pulling out your yellow towel and wrapping it around your hair so you can feel like a princess. It's a different time. And this feels creepy to me, that they are imposing this desire for representation on literal children who have voiced no such complaint.
Yeah.
Yes, it's fine and dandy that you get to see someone who looks like you on screen, but the narcissist desire that adults have about it is not something that is shared by children.
Are you sure that's not true? Are we in a generation now where the narcissistic desire of adults are now portraying that, are like putting that on their kids?
Yeah, and they are hijacking children's entertainment to suit their desires and their tastes, and then claiming that it's so empowering for little girls everywhere. Like, that's not the case.
So I think you're right, but I also think that I'm of the thought that representation does matter. But again, I use this word a lot here, simulacra. They're getting representation simulacra. Like, they're getting the race swapped version of The Little Mermaid. It's never a character tailored towards them. It's always just like the leftovers. And that's what I find so pernicious about it. It's like
Elena of Avalor, that was the one I was thinking of. I remember that was an animated Disney this was one of the first examples I saw of them talking about. This was a original character that she got to, Amy Carrero, I think is her name. Yes. She got to be Disney's first not white princess.
Really?
If not first,
I think that's actually just for the 3D animation, because there was Mulan.
It says first.
There was Aladdin.
First Latina princess.
Okay, I see.
And
there's another one in the works right now.
That was the first time I remembered that type of discussion happening. But I do wonder if this is kind of the fault of the narcissistic parents, and we're getting a little bit off topic from Disney theme parks here today. But like, I saw a lot of videos when the Little Mermaid trailer came out. There was tons of videos of young children watching it and being like, look, there's someone that looks like me as a princess, at ages where I didn't know if they were even old enough to really comprehend what that meant. But I don't know. and it feels like propaganda to me. I don't know though. I can't know for sure if it is, but the way it's promoted feels like propaganda.
And that's what I'm saying. I feel like the reason why it feels like propaganda, it's because it's not tailored for them. It's not, it's not. It's what also Mary's saying as well. It's that it's to appease someone. It's not to make a thing.
Yeah.
It's to like, okay, well, we gave you what you want and you didn't.
Yeah.
You gave people like the headline version of what they want, but not the soul version of what they want. And it's like a photocopy of the Mona Lisa is not the Mona Lisa. The Mona Lisa is that little thing in the museum that's tiny and it's behind like a wall, and you have to like stand behind people to see it. Like that's the whole experience. The Google image of it, it's not it. It's like it's the simulacra of it.
Right.
And that is what's happening right now with all this like race swapping. It's like,
yeah. I think it just shows that the same way Disney adults have hijacked the theme park experience from children, they have hijacked every other aspect of this company and their output. It's for them. It's not for children anymore. And that just shows that we're really in a time that is anti-family.
Yep. And kind of in a way, like the kids lose out the most on all of this. They don't get to have their own childhood. They have to have a childhood that's been designed around the whims of their parents rather than the whims of what they might actually want.
Their parents, and also like all of the media horsepower that is dedicated to indoctrinating them.
Yep. Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.